So welcome everyone. It's good to see all of you. Now we've been discussing the various stages of the practice since the beginning of episode 200, and so far I've been covering everything up to stage 4 of the process. I always give a short repetition in the beginning of the class to just keep you updated, informed on what each stage is all about. So we always start with the preparation, 3 types of preparation for your practice. The first one is dealing with the posture. The posture should be upright and at the same time relaxed. That's a profound skill that goes very, very deep. And you're invited to really get to know your body and to see how your body relaxes and to see how your body can remain upright and well stretched within the relaxation. The second preparation is all about the breathing. The breathing should be relatively deep and at the same time also comfortable. Deep only until the end of stage 1, comfortable all throughout. The third preparation is your attitudes, kind of your inner posture you have that you bring to the meditation practice. The attitude is about being kind and compassionate. Kindness here is the aspect of acceptance, allowing this moment in yourself to be as you are, to be as it is. And compassion is the aspect of empathy, relating to yourself from a point of understanding. Like you would understand your best friend when he's going through a hard time, for example. So when someone goes through a hard time, you understand them. You can relate to them. So it's really, really important to have both of these facets, acceptance and understanding, or kindness as well as compassion. These are the 3 preparations. And we come to the first actual stage of the practice, which is all about allowing your body to relax. It's kind of an easing into the practice. And it establishes the second stage. So it allows you to relax and become comfortable in your body, and it also helps you to spread out your awareness into your entire body, which is usually not the case for us. Usually our awareness is somewhere up in the head. We're mostly lost in thoughts and stories, etc., in the past and the future, thinking about this and that. And we feel mostly alive in the head, around the head area. Not many people feel their entire body. And this is something we can practice and cultivate, not only just in stage 1, but throughout the day. Whatever stage you are currently working on, you're also encouraged to bring all these qualities into your daily life, such as the posture, the breath, the attitude, or relaxation. This is stuff that you want to bring into anything else you're doing. If you take a shower, if you eat food, if you're hanging out with your friends, if you sit at the beach, if you're riding your scooter, it doesn't really matter. You can bring all these elements nicely into your daily life. It's just that when you sit down and actually do your practice properly, you have a formal session, that you can go much deeper into it than you can during daily life, of course. So practice during daily life feeds the deeper sessions that you do, and the deeper sessions feed the practice in daily life. It's a nice little circle. Then the second stage arises with the deepening of the first. The more relaxed and comfortable you become in the body, the less of a reason for your mind to wander off into past or future. You're enjoying yourself. Every time you're enjoying yourself, there is no reason for you to think about something else. Correct? That's your own experience, I suppose. Like whenever you're eating a delicious food, if you ever notice that when you have a gathering of a few people coming to a restaurant and there's delicious food on the table and the food is just nicely served, everyone stops talking. People just dig in. Particularly if it's very delicious. My mom always used to say she loved to cook for her guests, and when she had guests over and then the food came on the table, everyone said, wow, and then People started eating, and it became really quiet. And then my mom would, after a while, say, "Now that's a good sign. Everyone is very quiet. It means you're enjoying the food." You're becoming present. Also, you're becoming present if you're listening to a nice piece of music. You can't engage in conversation while at the same time listening to music. It's impossible. It's what's in these restaurants nowadays, like there's so much distractions going on. The people have to focus on their food, they have to focus on conversing, and they have to focus on the music which is going on. It's exhausting for the brain. No wonder we're exhausted. You have no mental energy left. There's so many things in daily life that pull your attention. It's really hard to stay centered and calm and relaxed and happy. So when you are pulled into anything, you forget thinking about other things. You're right there with it. And this particularly important quality in meditation practice is stage 2, it's presence. Presence simply means an absence of thinking about the past or the future. And here we just mean generally thinking about past and future. We're talking about a relatively coarse stage of presence, not a very refined one. Still you just simply avoid talking about what's going on after the meditation session or before the session just started. You let that outside. Your thoughts are maybe still dealing with what's going on right now in your vicinity. Or I can hear the sound of a fan, you might say in your mind. Or you might say things like, or was that just a dog that barked? You're still relatively present. You're dealing with what is happening in the vicinity of this moment. Okay? When that deepens and you come really deeper and deeper into the present moment, you will notice that the mind becomes more and more quiet. It can't keep up with talking about things when you're becoming very aware of what is happening in this moment, because things are happening so fast. The way your attention moves from object to object, the way the objects move, it's a lot of movement. Normally when you listen to the fan, you listen to it superficially. There's a sound of a fan. That's kind of present moment awareness. Now the third stage, silent present moment awareness, means you're really listening to the fan. You start to pick out the way it oscillates, the way the sounds change with every second. It's a totally different quality. And as you're doing that, you find your mind becomes very quiet. It stops talking about other things. So that's the primary quality of stage 3, which is silence. Your mind does not comment anymore on what's going on. So you're very much like a mirror. A mirror just simply reflects what's before it without talking about it, fortunately. Imagine your mirror would comment on your appearance. I mean, if it was a kind mirror, at least it would be nice and uplifting. But if you have a nasty mirror, it would just give you all these bad comments all the time. And very often for us, the mind is a bit like a nasty mirror. We look at faults. We contemplate faults, our own faults, the faults of others, the faults of the surrounding, the fault of this, the fault of that. Sure, we are unhappy. Of course we are unhappy in that state if we're constantly thinking about what's wrong, or what might be wrong in the future, or what was wrong in the past. That's a recipe to keep yourself unhappy. The more you're dwelling on what's wrong and talking to yourself about what's wrong and talking to others about what's wrong, the more unhappy you are. That's a fact. Simple cause and result. And the more you see what's right, not only with yourself, with other people also, with this moment, the more you're able to appreciate the strengths and powers of other people and yourself, the more you can cultivate them. And this is what is uplifting, both for yourself and others around you, to see what's good, to focus on the goodness, to support what's good in this world with your awareness, and then finally also with your actions. You can learn that very clearly in stage 3, the way you use your attention, what you place your attention on, because now your mind is very quiet. Now the only thing that's kind of left is how your attention moves from thing to thing. So the habit of your attention is revealed to you. It's very honest. And as you go along in that stage, and if that deepens, the movement of your attention at some point becomes a bit disturbing, disturbs the peace. So your attention kind of seeks to rest somewhere. Then you bring it to the breath. That's the fourth stage. This week we have discussed the three components of breathing meditation. The first one being the component of actually finding the breath, bringing the mind to your breath. The second one, staying with your breath. The third one, being alert to your mind wandering off the breath. It's like a little security cam in the corner of your mind that is aware that, now your mind is wandering away from the breath. Bring it right back. If you miss that, if you don't see it, you get lost in all kinds of stories. Okay, you have these three qualities. And so today, in this session, I'm talking a little bit about shaping the quality of your breath. Actually working with the subtle currents of breathing energy in the body. The more alert you are, the more calm you become in your mind, the more you see, actually, the relationship between your physical body and your breath, between your emotions, your mental state, the body, and your breathing, and how all these facets play with one another and condition one another. And here's where it's becoming really interesting. And you can see clearly, like for example, what happens to your breath when anger arises in the mind, and how that affects immediately your emotional state, and how that immediately affects your body. That gives you an option, it gives you a chance actually, and an option, it gives you the choice to shape your emotional, mental and physical body in ways that benefit you, that are good for you. And we all want that. Everybody wants to feel good and happy and healthy and be well. And your breath is a very direct route to that. It also lifts the burden of other people to be responsible for your happiness. You don't have to make them responsible for your happiness anymore, because you can create it yourself by paying attention to yourself. By first of all finding out that there is nobody in the entire world which makes you unhappy but yourself. And the lack of knowledge of dealing with ourselves is the culprit. We're ignorant to the fact of cause and result in our body. We don't understand, here's a cause, there is a result. Very simple things. Like for example, we think just in normal human interactions that lying saves you from trouble. So we are mixing up negative causes with positive results. We think that a negative cause is able to produce a positive result. It's like eating poisonous food, expecting it to heal you. Oh, by the way, that's widespread. You go through a supermarket, read the ingredients on the packaging. It's all about taste. It has to taste good. It does not matter to us whether it's actually good or not. So we're going for causes that are detrimental to our health with pleasure. So this is a general downfall in this world. We're confusing causes for misery for causes that are for goodness and benefit. And we're confusing beneficial causes for miserable causes. So then it comes, we are avoiding things that are good for us, and we are practicing things which are bad for us. This is the story of this world. A war is a huge scale example of that. We're believing that a war is a cause for peace. It's ridiculous. How could we give our bombs, we give them names like Peacemaker, or our guns, I don't know. There's a cult Peacemaker or something like that. It's ridiculous, the idea that something that causes pain causes peace. That is basic confusion. And when we don't understand that within ourselves, or what I'm doing to myself right now actually causes suffering in my own mind, if we don't see that, then we keep blaming other people for our own misery. And as long as we're doing that, the world cannot change, because nobody is willing to take responsibility for their own state. And your mind is what's closest to you. Would you not agree? You should be the one that's able to choose what state of mind you're in. Correct? At least we should have that freedom. If we lack even that basic freedom of choosing the state of mind that we're in, wow, this is not really good news, isn't it? So here, when you're working with the breath, you get to know yourself on very subtle levels. What is a cause for pleasure, for example? What is a cause for bliss? You can find that out if you really get to know your breath deeply. But for most beginners at that stage, it's really difficult to know that, because our minds are just so buzzy. They're running around a lot, constantly changing. Our attention is moving from object to object faster than the speed of light. So, with a mind which is so untamed, the very first task is to simplify it a little bit. You know, don't try to don't think. Maybe limit your thoughts to just one thought. Or let it be a good thought. Start like that. Many people aim too high in the beginning. They think they should not be thinking, and then they try not to think. Not thinking has its cause. It's all the preceding stages. You cannot make it. Like the famous example, you can't make the water calm. In order for the water to become calm, you have to put it down. Then it becomes calm. So there's many things within ourselves that cannot be made, but they can be caused. That's where the play of ego has to take a step back. And we have to put causes in place which actually create the results that we want. And those causes are not always pleasant. They might be unpleasant, they might go against the grain. Like, for example, building the habit of meditating regularly. That's maybe not very pleasant, but it's ultimately really good for you. Or the habit of actually being kind to yourself, rather than being lazy and going for disparaging yourself, which is your old habit and easy. It comes easy. It's like a reflex. It takes a bit of effort, and here we're talking about right effort, making right effort, which is for the benefit of yourself. That's one of the essential points of kindness. Caring for yourself, looking after yourself with kindness and ease and friendliness. Actually giving yourself the space and allowing yourself to relax. You come to find something that's a bit deeper within yourself, so that you can live well and finally even die well. So when you are looking at your breath and you're already a bit more advanced and your mind is already a bit more calm, some of you in this room might have the experience, for example, that the breath becomes very shallow when your mind becomes concentrated. As soon as the mind becomes more and more calm, the breath follows suit. The breath becomes very calm. Here you see a relationship. The mind moving and the movement of breath. They're directly related. If one stops, the other follows right away. If the mind stops moving, the breath stops moving. And so you might just find yourself sitting in meditation practice for long times without actually physically breathing. So this is not science fiction. This is a very common experience for meditators who already have some deeper experience on the path. And it will come to you. This is one of the first things you will notice. Everything slows down when the mind slows down. And that's where your body starts to heal, where you start to actually rest, where your mind becomes re-energized. And when your mind has energy, you're experiencing that as happiness. So in that happiness experience is a very distinct experience in the body at first. You're feeling the body becoming really comfortable and nice. Almost like a softening up. People experience it differently. The body becomes light, it feels like it's floating or like sinking into the ground or like spinning gently or swaying or something. And that's usually where it gently starts. Yeah, we call that piti. Piti means something like rapture. The first little humble beginnings of joy in meditation practice. And that's very good news because this is trained joy. It is happiness that you have specifically trained for. It is not accessible for people who do not practice meditation. Sometimes I wonder, it's actually quite sad how many people are missing out on how happy they actually could be. It's a pity. Why are people not interested in being happier? We're all interested in indirect things, right? I want more money so I can be happier. I want more security and safety so I can be happy. I need another relationship so I can be happier. All that is indirect stuff. Why not go for happiness directly? After all, this is what we really want. Isn't it? Why not go for it directly? How far do you have to go to find happiness? You have to go not even a centimeter. In fact, you have to stop. You have to stop running around. And it's like magic. When the mind stops running around, happiness is right there. The more familiar you become with that, and you do so via breathing meditation, the less interest you will have in things to make you happy. Does that mean you stop enjoying things? No. You can still enjoy things, but you're not suffering from the illusion that things are making you happy. You have discovered that it's you. It's in your own hands. And all it takes is, first of all, slow down a little bit. Then become still. So this is what I would say, it's the quality that we're aiming for at stage 4. It is stillness. Quality we're aiming for in stage 1 is relaxation. Stage 2, it is presence. Stage 3, it is silence. Stage 4, it is stillness. It is a gradual refinement, and it is various skills that are at play, each one causing the next. So can you rush through the stages? What's the point of rushing through the stages? Where do you need to go? This is not about getting somewhere, this is about being here. If you're still uncomfortable being here, back to stage 1. Become comfortable. If you're still thinking about stage 3 and 4, and when you get there, you're still not present. You want to be so present that you simply don't care about stages anymore. That's when the stages happen. They go deeper. You're literally throwing everything overboard. You drop everything. And happiness is right there. The reason why we're not happy is because we carry. And we carry a lot of stuff. And meditation practice is what? Gradually dropping what we carry. And you can only really come into present deeply and into stillness deeply if you're enjoying yourself. So I encourage you, when you do breathing meditation, follow the pleasure. First of all, find it, become sensitive to it, notice it. Connect with it. Allow it to spread. Let it take over. This is the only pleasure that the Buddha has thoroughly recommended to get addicted to. Enjoy it. It's wholesome pleasure. Why is it wholesome? Because it comes out of yourself. It is not based on using, consuming, etc., other things or people or events or whatever. It comes purely out of yourself. That's why it's good. You don't need a substance, you don't need people, you don't need places. There's no need for consumption of any sort. That's why it's nice. And the more of that energy you can build, the more you can contribute with it into this world, naturally, through your presence and your being. Alright, so that's all that comes to mind for today. I guess we will stay with breathing meditation for a little while, maybe next week, going a little bit deeper into the topic. There's more to be said about that. Yes? So until then, I hope all of you will really use what you hear here and then integrate it into your practice, actually doing what you learn. This is not about information, I say that frequently. This is about practice. First is hearing, then there is contemplating. Think about what you just heard. And then there's practice. Stop thinking. Do it. All three elements are needed. Hearing, contemplating, meditating. And it results in realization. When that stuff becomes who you are. Okay? Any questions?